Dala! Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today I want to talk to you again about names. And I think this is going to be one of the last few videos in this series. I understand I receive a lot of messages, a lot of questions about this subject. And I think I've already made a few videos. I will try to link the playlist or something like that, or some links to some videos so you guys can go and search and look at them, because that may answer a lot of your questions. So after receiving again so many different messages on names, I think I'm going to make this video to add just one more piece that is not in the other videos, but I think that's important. And then I will just ask you guys to watch those videos, because some of the answers, some of the things that you've asked me are in those videos. The number one thing is that I do not recommend anyone to change their name, okay? If you are not born in Africa, if you don't have an African name, that is okay. You don't have to feel ashamed of that. If you're a black person anywhere in the world, you don't have to feel ashamed if you don't have an African name. If nobody had said that to you before, I am telling you that, okay? You shouldn't feel ashamed at all. You should be satisfied with whichever name your parents lovingly selected and gave you. First of all, in our tradition, your name is not something that came out by chance. You chose your parents knowing which kind of name they were going to give you. And the name that they gave you is giving you this certain vibration that's coming with you, certain energy around you. That energy does not define you, okay? You will define your own life, your own path based on your thoughts and your actions, your decisions, okay? And now, you shouldn't run away from your name. There's a difference between running away from your name because you feel it makes you feel less African, it makes you feel less this, and it makes you feel less that. Maybe you may thinking that you're not going to be accepted by certain people, that you're not going to be seen a certain way by certain people, blah blah blah. And there's a difference between that and actually changing your name because you are called to do so in a specific process. Because, for example, you have moved, you have changed in a certain way, you're marrying into an ethnic group, a cultural group, or what have you. So there is an energical difference between running away from your own name because you're ashamed or because you're scared, and going towards being called towards something that you love, something that's calling you for your own benefit, your own development. It's two different things. They're not the same. And this is why I would recommend that you don't change your name just because you're scared, just because you want to prove that you're more African than anyone else. Because having the name alone is not going to change the fear that's behind it. When you're trying to run away from something, that thing is following you because it has resonance within yourself, no matter where you go. So it is important to accept whatever name you have and to decide what you want to do with it. And so one of the things I always ask people is to research what your name means. Whether it is a European name, an English name, or an Italian name, whatever it is, an Indian name, no matter what it is, research what it means. Because you will be very surprised in terms of the etymology of your name, in terms of the personality traits that may be associated with your names. And you may be even more surprised if those traits match actually your actual personality, without you even having to go through that process. So take that time to do that little research. Research what kind of name you have and what it means before you just dismiss it just because somebody told you, oh, this is not an African name, you're less than African and blah, 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 whatever else. Do not let other people project their thought onto you. Do not let other people project their perception onto you. And so the second thing is that you can influence the energy of your name. You can make your name, you can make yourself. Okay? You can make yourself. And you can see it, for example, if you have, for some of you, those of you who are Pan-Africanist and you're super activist in the Pan-African communities and stuff like that, Thomas Sankara is a name of an African guy who, his first name is not African. That did not prevent him from doing amazing things. That did not prevent him to be very active and to be proactive in terms of teaching and leading towards African unity, towards increasing economical efforts locally. He wasn't, you know, feeling less than just because his first name was an African and it was French. He wasn't feeling some kind of way. Matter of fact, he assumed it. And decades after his death, his name is still called upon. His name is still referred to when you're talking about Pan-Africanism in Africa. And you can see in the American diaspora, Harriet Tubman, so many different names of people who didn't let their name limit themselves. And I don't know, as we go along, it's sometimes mind-blowing how you can see slaves who were, you know, their name were taken away, what they knew, their history was taken away, and yet they managed to survive, and yet they managed to teach and to give the best they had to give to their children. Don't you find it like mind-blowing and amazing how, you know, somebody can fight and work for their own freedom, buy their freedom, have children when they're free, send those children free, and the children will feel more oppressed than their parents? That is mind-blowing. And it's to tell you that your name is, you should not view your name as something that is going to undermine what you're trying to accomplish, your goals or anything like that. Your name is not limiting. On the contrary, there's something in your name that you can use to propel yourself. Look at people who shared your name in your own diaspora and see what they have accomplished. That will just give you an idea to know the power within that name when you're willing to put in the work, when you're willing to align with your purpose. And I think that's the beautiful aspect of that. Harriet Tubman put her life on the line to save her brothers and sisters who were enslaved. She didn't want to question her name as a limitation. She didn't think of her name as a limitation. She didn't think of Christianity as a limitation. She used the Bible, she used her faith to guide her on her purpose, on her path. God did not tell her that she was supposed to be a slave. On the contrary, He told her she's supposed to get out there and deliver as many slaves as she could. And that became her conviction, that became her mission, that became her purpose. So do not let things limit you when they shouldn't. Religion is not there to limit you. Christianity was not placed here to limit you. Otherwise, how come He didn't limit Harriet Tubman? How come He didn't limit so many other people? You have the choice to decide what is limiting for you and to get rid of it if it is. Understand, to get rid of it if it is. Okay? But the thing is that you should not let people tell you what should be limiting you. Your name should not limit you in any form, shape, or ways. Like, especially if you haven't researched the meaning of your name, no matter what name, no matter where it comes from. I tell you that this is one thing. Any student of mine starts there. You need to research, what does your name mean? What are the personality traits associated with your name? Before you start thinking about changing it or jumping into something else. It's a lot wiser to know what it means, to know what kind of energical thing that's behind that, and even before you leave it to choose something else. Think about the possibility that you can make that name great. If you haven't looked at that movie, The Founder, I think it's The Founder, yeah, it's the McDonald's story. And I'm not going to spoil it. If you would like me to go more in depth in that movie, I can do it. Just leave me comments below. But it's just to say that those two people had no understanding of what the name McDonald could be. And I think in the movie, their own name, they lost their own name just because they didn't see any value in it. And someone else said, you know, I didn't care about the company. I didn't care about your food system. I knew the name was the power, the name was the key. What you don't see value in, someone else will see it and will use it. So that movie is a good example in that aspect. You need to start valuing the things that are yours. You need to start valuing your legacy. And I think it also tied into some of the point in the commentary that I've made in the movie, my commentary on the movie Daughters of the Dust. It's important to value what is yours, your inheritance, your legacy, the things that your forefather given to you, including your name and its meaning. Once you have that path, when you understand what's the meaning, you understand the influence, you understand where it's coming from, you understand what you can do with it, what you can choose to do with it, then if you're still called to, then you can change your name. Because you won't be living it out of fear. Because you won't be running away from it. Okay, you may be called to do something else with a different name. That's something else. But you should never be ashamed of the name that your parents gave you. You shouldn't be ashamed of the name or your family name. You shouldn't even be ashamed of the surname that people give you, even if you don't like it. Just take it as this is the way they see you. But it has nothing to do with you. It may not even, in terms of the surname or the nickname, sorry, I meant nickname. The nickname that people give you, even when you don't like it, it simply means that this is the way that they perceive you. But it may not even have anything to do with you. It may have to do with their own experience, their own perception. Okay? And that's why it's important for you to just have always this step back, where you don't always wrapped up in what other people think. That you think for your own self. That you have this kind of reflex to always do your own research, to always use your own discernment when information is brought to you, when invitations are offered to you, when things are being proposed, perception, ways of thinking and all of that. Use your own discernment. And recognize sometimes when people project their own fears. Maybe something happened to them and that's why they're thinking that way. Maybe in their own religion or their own culture, this is how they're seeing things. And you always have to evaluate, is this something going to be beneficial for me? Is it going to cause me to always run away from something I can't escape? Because even if you change your name, you go wherever you're going to go. When people are going to ask you, who are you? No matter what you tell them, no matter what comes out of your mouth, at night when nobody's there, you will know the truth. You will know what your original name was. The same way your parents will always know it because that's the name they gave you. Okay? So it's for me, it's just to emphasize that do as you wish, do as you please, as you always have the power and the will to do so. This is why you came free. This is why all of us are free. Free to make our own decisions. Free to believe in whatever we choose to believe in. But I do think that it's important that you take this in consideration and that you're just reminded that many people before you had names that were not from their own culture and that did not stop them. They embraced religions from other cultures, from other places, and that did not stop them from achieving their goals, from living the life they were supposed to live, from aligning with their purpose, from getting married, from having children, from having really peaceful, wonderful lives. And having an African name is not going to secure that your life is going to be peaceful or anything like that. Okay? So I don't want you to put Africa always on this kind of pedestal. African people or black people are all over the world. They're part of many different cultures, traditions, religions, and that's going to continue. Okay? It's part of the richness that we have. We are able to mingle with other people. We are able to integrate different cultures. We are able to love other people and be aligned with the purpose of ours without being ashamed, and also being able to contribute to any society we are part of. Black people everywhere on this planet contribute to every society we are part of. And it's time that you understand that you also have a contribution to make right where you are. There's a reason why you were born in France or United States or wherever you are. That citizenship comes in with responsibility, it comes in with a certain amount of privilege that you should use to align with your own purpose, that you should use to do your best, and that you have no reason to be ashamed of the place you were born, of the privilege that you received by birth, that is yours, and that you're entitled to have. And I think just as a reminder, all what is asked of you is to do your best. And even when you fail, even when you don't feel like it, even when everything is too challenging and just too much, it's still okay. Just wake up the next day and pick up where you left off and try again. Because, you know, tomorrow is always going to be a new day. A new day, a new opportunity to do better than yesterday, to do better than last week, to do better than last month or last year or last decade. Okay? So don't ever feel like you have to prove anything to anybody else. It is your own journey, and you can go at it one day at a time if you need to. There's no competition with anyone else. There's no finish line where people are going to go and get there before you or anything like that. It's your own journey, and you have the right to appreciate every single moment, to appreciate every single minute, to smell the roses and the tulips, to smile, and to enjoy the journey as it has been given to you. To enjoy each moment. From the moment you wake up and you open your eyes and you decide to participate in the world, to the moment you go back to sleep and venture someplace else. So I hope this video was useful. Please do share your comments and suggestions or thoughts below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.